Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of D&D CR Exposed. On today's episode we are looking at the Braxat from Boo's Astral Menagerie. Spelljammers, Boo, Astral Menagerie, whatever. It's the book, BAM, whatever. In any event, before we get into this business, let's talk about my business. And the business here is if you'd like to do the same thing I'm doing by checking your monsters, making perfectly balanced ones for 5th edition, then you can grab yourself a free copy of this Google Sheet in my link in description below at my Ko-fi page, where you can get it totally for free. And, have some fun making monsters. And if you've had so much fun that you think, hey, this is actually worth something, then you can come on back and donate some money or donate as you purchase it. For free or with some money, whatever. If you feel so inclined to, that's super appreciated. If you're using it anyways, it's super appreciated anyways. I just would like my work to be used and appreciated. That's all. In any event, you can also, support the channel by joining the membership here on YouTube, where you can get early access to videos. As I put these videos out when I can, and I'm starting to get a huge loadout of videos on the channel. You can see that they're currently members only videos until a certain date and time where they will release to the public, so you can get onto those right away if you'd like to. And then you can also suggest movies, not weapons, I don't know why I was going to say weapons, to be pushed to the front of the line, and I'll get to them when I can. And then after that, if you'd like to request a monster, you can do so in two different ways. You can either drop a comment on the video to appease the YouTube AI algorithm overlords, or you can throw a comment completely anonymously in my Google form in the link in the description. So check the links in the description and go ahead and do those things and have some fun and build monsters for your D&D games. In any event, let's get into the actual business and why you're here, and check out the Braxat. At least that's how I'm pronouncing it, because X's are usually pronounced like Z's when they're not X-ray or whatnot. They're kind of like xylophone. All right, let's get into it here. What are we looking at? Well, we're looking at a huge giant, typically neutral evil. They have, let's see here, CR9, so that's what we're looking at for first here, and we're going to say armor class 18. Don't care about why it's like that, but we are just going to throw some stuff in here. So we're going to update this to huge and add in 13, not 12, 13 hit dice, and then we're going to update our stats with a 26 strength, 8 dex, 22 con, 14 intelligence, 13 wisdom, and 7 charisma. Now, if things are looking out correctly, we have 162 hit points on average, and we have the average here as well. Next, we're going to move into this little section here. I don't know what to call this. Like the senses, I guess? We could call it like the senses area. And because we only have 2 immunities here, I'm not going to worry about adding in these, because technically we need 3 to trigger damage immunities or resistances. In theory, I haven't quite found this to be true. If we had 1 resistance and 2 immunities, this technically might trigger, and we could say, all right, we'll throw it into the immunity section. But because we only have 2 and we need 3, or at least 3 by the very loose general suggestions in the original 2024 or 2014 DMG, we need 3. So we don't add anything in here, and everything else is a moot point. Now, for the monster traits, we already know what's going on here. The Braxat its AC is included in its intelligence modifier, which is already been put in here. Next, we're going to look at the actions. And for our Braxat, we have a multi-attack, and it makes 2 great club attacks. And then we have an acid breath and spellcasting, which we only have compulsion and fear. And at CR9, fear probably isn't worthwhile, and compulsion is okay. We can look at those if need be in a moment or two. So we're making, what was it, 2? Yes, 2 great club attacks, so let's go ahead and throw those in. We are looking at a plus 12, which is definitely coming from the strength here. So we update that. And then we have a reach of 10 feet, and the target hits on for 21 average damage, 21 and a half. So we will go ahead and, actually I'm not going to worry about this because this is an official publication from D&D, and we will just go ahead and throw the numbers in here. So 21.5 for our Great Club, nothing else, no riders or anything. And then we have an Acid Breath, recharges on a 6, so we should only see this 1 out of every 6 rounds of combat, which means the likelihood of seeing this again is going to be very low unless you're rolling rocks and your GM is on a, is on fire. So we're looking at a 15-foot cone, which isn't huge, with a DC 18 con save, and creatures in that area will take 26 average damage, and we multiply that times 2 because we're expecting 2 failed saves, or 2 saves and 1 failed save, or 4 successful saves. So we're looking at 26 times 2 for a total of 52 points of damage, and of course we're going to use that at least once because our multi-attack is going to be our Great Club times 2, which is only 43, and it's a little less. Lastly, we have spellcasting, and again, like I said, we have compulsion and fear. Fear probably isn't worthwhile. I think that's what, like a level 2 spell. Compulsion, I don't know about. I'd have to take a look at that one in a moment, but let's move into our reactions first, and then we'll come back to spellcasting after we take care of all of our melee. So the reactions here: Psionic Shield, 3 a day. When the Braxat would be hit by an attack roll or a magic missile originating from a source the Braxat can see, the Braxat creates an invisible barrier, and we get +5 AC bonus. So this is basically shield. And I do have a spot for shield here, which has been added in, like the Arcanoloth, and we get 5 uses of it for the 3 rounds of combat we are accounting for. Anything beyond that, then we lose the Psionic Shield, and our Braxat's total CR is going to drop. So first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at our rounds of combat here. And because our Acid Breath does more damage than our multi-attack, we will use that in the first round of combat, and then we will just simply do the next 2 rounds of combat like so. And what do you know? Without even taking into account the spellcasting or anything else, we have a CR 11, which is 2 above the expected CR here. So right off the bat, we've got a pretty chunky Space Rhino. Yeah, it's a Space Rhino. And it's just doing massive amounts of damage. So let's see here. What happens after 3 rounds of combat if combat goes that long? Well, if we get rid of shield, now we're at CR 9. So here's our quick fix. Just don't use the reaction. That's all. And as long as you're just, mashing away with 2 Great Club attacks, you're going to be fine. Now, do we want to add in the spellcasting? Let's see here. We have fear and we have compulsion. Let me take a look at that, and I'll get back to you in a second here. Okay, looking at my spell lookup damage chart here. Fear is a level 3. I initially said it was level 2. That was my... I was incorrect on that one. I haven't played a spellcaster in quite some time. I'm usually DMing and GMing, so forever GMs unite. And at level 3, we're getting 42 effective DPR for our targets here, which could be then converted into effective hit points, which is going to be huge. Or we can then also use compulsion, which is a concentration spell, and we can also change that. So if we use compulsion here to compulse one character to just kind of walk away for 100 miles, then we can get rid of 1 target and go from there. So with our 49 here, let's go ahead and add this in so we can compulse someone to see how bad this is going to be. So we'll come back to the CR table here. We're going to add in the shield once again, and we're going to convert 49 from effective DPR to effective hit points, and we have 122. So let's go ahead and remove 1 round of combat damage here and give ourselves an extra 122 effective hit points. Now, ironically, because there's really no difference here shifting between hit points and effective damage, and either way, if you use it just for the effective damage or for the effective hit points, it's all basically going to work out the same. But because this is a defensive spell, we should apply it to the hit points, and we're going to go ahead and see that we have 1 tanky boy now. Our DCR jumps to a 17, our OCR drops to a 7, defensive CR and our offensive CR, and we now jump up to a overall CR of 12, and that's just from compulsion alone. If we use our fear spell of 42 and 105, let's see here, it only drops the DCR or defensive CR to a 16 rather than 17, but still, this is one heck of a monster here. So my recommendations, as usual, don't use spellcasting, sadly, unless you absolutely need to. Use this more as a get out of jail free card so that your monster can run away if need be. And don't use the shield, and you have a CR 9 like is printed. Otherwise, if you want to use these abilities, use it at CR 11. Now, I recommend CR 11 because spellcasting may be, it might end up getting countered or failed, and it won't go through, so we would lose that round of combat as well, and it would drop the CR, let's see here. it would drop the CR back to a 9, but with a failed spell save. So, you know, we're kind of lucky in that space. But otherwise, I don't know. Average it out. You know, if we're going to use some magic, but also use the melee, and we're kind of going back and forth, then maybe it's going to be a CR 10. I don't know. Just don't use the magic. It makes things so much more complicated with this monster, and just smash away. I mean, we're playing a tactical game here. That's why we're doing this kind of stuff. So just make it a big old meaty beef, you know, a meaty meat shield here, beefy meat shield. There we go, and use the spells to run away if need be, like compulse the whole group or fear them all away, and then the Braxat can run away to attack another day, kind of thing. In any event, this has been me, Andrew, your Goblin GM, suggesting, you know, maybe use an 11 if you want to go full bore, or don't use magic. I don't know. You do you. Have fun at the table, man. Whatever is fun and keeps the players engaged, do that. Okay? All right. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of the Braxat. You know the deal. Check the links in the description for all of my links and my goodies and my stuff that I'm working on. Come check me. Follow me on Coffee. I'm doing a whole bunch of random stuff over there. And I will see you guys in the next video.